Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how,
Having a hell of a time doing it.
laughing every step of the way,
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture. Ready?
Spaghetti.
Hey guys, welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. We are in a beautiful location this morning with sunshine and flip-flops.
It's not freezing like it was last time we were here.
We don't have blankets.
We don't even have blankets.
We don't need blankets.
I want tank tops and a lemonade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hallelujah.
So, as I was spending time with God this week and kind of praying about what we should record, finances was a big topic for me this week. And so I thought that that would be helpful to share on kind of our experiences going from married to being single parents to being providers and what that's kind of looked like, what has helped us, and how we ultimately trust God as our ultimate provider.
Yeah.
So I think a good place to be, or to start, would be what was finances like when you were married? And what was the change like when you went to being a single mom?
I feel like God prepared me for single parenthood years before I became one. So my ex was unemployed for several years of our marriage, including the majority of the end. And so there was a lot of like, we have bills. What am I supposed to do? Like, do I need to get a job? And he kept telling me, do not leave those kids. They need someone to raise them. He's not going to, like, stay home. And so I had to build this faith that the finances are out of my control in that scenario. So finances were hard. There was a lot of spending. There was a whole lot of debt, and it was a massive stress. And the last, I would say probably 2.5 years, I really had to build faith and lean and exercise that faith a lot. Because we had 4 kids and unemployment pays nothing.
Right.
So, and I wasn't supposed to work. So I do have a doTERRA team, so that did bring in some income, but not enough to provide.
Right.
It was something though. So it was super stressful, but I think that lesson of learning where my place is and and just learning how to have trust in God and the miracles that happened over those years was monumental for what's happening as a single mom.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love how we can look back and see how God prepared us for certain things.
His hand was preparing for us to be the strong women we are now, because how many times do we have things where, like, I don't know why this isn't harder, or this situation, like, I was prepared for this one. You can look back and be like, oh, remember that thing that he put us through that was really hard? It's because we needed those muscles now.
Absolutely.
So what was it like for you?
So in marriage, we had plenty of money. He made plenty of money. He had a great job. At one point, he owned his own business, and money was not a stress for us. Now, growing up in childhood, we did not have much at all. I remember my dad skipping meals. I remember the church bringing us meals. And my dad was a great provider. He worked multiple jobs at a time. He made sure that we had everything that we needed. But it was hard. We didn't have a lot. So then I got married. Money wasn't an issue. And I was like, oh, I can breathe. Like, it just felt good that was one thing that we didn't struggle with, that I didn't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And that was really nice until we got divorced.
Well, what was it like? What was your role in the finances while you had plenty of money?
Nothing.
Okay.
I had, I didn't have passwords to any bank accounts. I had no idea how much money he actually made. You know, if I spent any money at all, it had to be run past him.
Okay. A lot of control with it.
A lot of control. So no surprise that when we did get divorced, he drained everything and took everything. And The kids and I were literally 6 weeks away from being homeless. The house was going to be foreclosed. The car was going to be repossessed. Everything just, I mean, so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. And I could not get control of the situation because my name wasn't attached to anything. Everything was in his name, which in the end was a blessing because he stopped paying everything. And so I'm sure his credit score went to crap. And so in the end, it was a blessing that my name was on nothing. But that created a lot of problems because trying to talk to the mortgage company or trying to talk to the credit union for the car, nobody wanted to talk to me because my name was not on anything. And so I was really upset with God because I went from having nothing in childhood to not having to worry about money in my marriage to getting brave enough, courageous enough to leave my abuser so that my kids and I could be on the doorstep of being homeless by none of my own doing.
Yeah.
I was really angry.
I feel that because that is anger I'm dealing with right now is this idea of I made all the right choices. I'm a faithful daughter of God. I'm keeping my covenants. I'm keeping the commandments. I'm working my butt off.
Yeah.
And I want the vending machine of here's all the things I'm doing. Here are the blessings. Like I want A1.
Yes.
Right. And that's not how God works. And I'm learning that. And he's reminding me again and again. But it's really hard. It's really frustrating to sit there and be like, we are still struggling with finances. We're still struggling with this, that, and the other thing. But I left.
Right.
I'm not out there just bringing men through the house, having my kids have to deal with all the baloney that happens with that. Like I am healing me and my kids, and we're working and we're getting close with God. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, absolutely. And I still deal with so much anger because he owes 6 digits in child support and has been evading and doesn't, not a penny to his kids for food or housing or anything. And that's really difficult for me because it's not a one-time thing where I work on forgiving him. It's an ongoing, he continues to not care if his children have food. And that's, God and I have to work on that a lot.
That one is super hard for me because I feel like I have done a good job with forgiving the stuff of the past.
Right.
But dealing with everything that comes up when I do have to work with my kid's dad or deal with him. I'm like, we're still being hurt. We are still being abused. We are still having to deal with all this shit.
That's a whole nother episode we need to do.
But it feels the same, right? Like it's
ongoing.
how do we do forgiveness when we are being continually hurt by these men and our babies are getting hurt by these men? How do we stay in that forgiving space? That is part of the anger too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I went from being a stay-at-home mom for 13 years. I gave up my entire life gladly for my kids, for my husband, so that I could run the home and raise the kids and homeschool. And basically, if it wasn't work for him, it was my responsibility.
Yeah.
It fell under my responsibility. And I did a damn good job. And then immediately overnight, I needed to be providing for all 7 of us.
Yeah. That's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Yeah, it was a whole lot. So thankfully for me, I had piano, so I started playing piano when I was 5, right? And never stopped. That's what I went into college for. I didn't finish because we started a family, but I auditioned and got into the music program, got into the piano performance program. I taught up to 30 kids while I was in high school still.
Oh, dang.
And in college. And so I had previously taught before, and so I'm thankful. Just another way that I can look back and go, God knew.
Yep.
He was preparing. He knew what was going to happen, and he's there. And so I started my piano business back up.
How soon after the divorce did that happen? Do you remember?
I actually started that right before, like weeks before he moved out.
Okay. Smart. Love the strategies.
There were definitely a lot of strategies in there.
You can't hear my eye roll. But like, it drives me nuts with how much strategy we had to do to leave an abusive situation, not just for our safety, but for our futures.
Yeah. And there were definitely, he was suspicious because, why are you not putting your last name on anything? And 'cause I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I started with 3 piano students. and told God, I was like, I know that this is what you have called me to, and so I will be faithful. I am angry and pissed that we're here, and I'm now needing to solely provide for 7 of us, but I know that this is what you've called me to, and I trust you, and I trust your plans more than my own thoughts or feelings. And within 1 year, I went from 3 students to 35 students and a wait list.
That's incredible. I love that.
And not on my own doing, not for my own glory, not for my own honor, because he called me to it. I partnered with him. I did my side, and he brought the students.
It's this as we're talking, there's a repetition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of just how he prepared us. So I started breeding dogs before I left too, because I love animals. I always wanted, like, I had imaginary 101 Dalmatians when I was a kid. Like, we'd go somewhere and I'd open the door and my dad's like, get in the car. I'm like, they're not all in yet. We have to get them all in the car. So I always wanted to have a litter of puppies. And so when I finally had a litter of puppies, it was before I knew I was leaving. And the sale of those puppies happened so easy. My natural ability to do the business side was surprising to me. Not that I thought I'd be bad at it, but I was just like, oh, like I naturally am doing good with the social media side and interacting with the people. And I ended up building this community. Even in that first litter, I want to say I think there was 9 puppies, and I want to say 4 of those people have come back for second puppies from me. And by the time I was done, I had a wait list for the next litter. And so it was one of those things where as I was leaving, I was like, I can do this. I have income. I have something that's going to provide for me and my kids. But that wasn't even a thought in my head when I left, was like how to provide. I was like, I just had faith. You're going to figure it out. Because I can't do this anymore. We're going to end up in the hospital. So we're just going to go, and you're going to, and I love that we both have that blessing of seeing piano was something that he put in your heart a long time ago. My love for animals, he put in my heart a long time ago. And it's now something that provides for our families. I think that's incredible.
I love that. And I think that there's a common misconception with divorce that you're just going to divorce, child support's going to be ordered, and he's going to have to pay.
Yeah.
And it is not that black and white.
Or it's going to be enough.
It is not that black and white.
Yeah.
So I knew, and thankfully my parents gave me great advice going in, you need to plan to do this without a dime of child support, without any of it. And that would be my biggest piece of advice for other single moms or for women who are divorcing, especially if you're in any kind of abusive relationship, any kind of yucky situation. You need to plan to do it without child support. Will it be ordered? Yes. Will he actually pay?
Who knows?
Maybe, maybe not, because I'm sitting here owed 6 digits in child support with not a penny on the horizon right now.
Right, which is horrible, but you have to prepare for that.
Yeah, you need to prepare for that. And then God is good and faithful. We have not gone without.
Yeah. Well, in my situation, my kid's dad does pay child support, and it's something, and I have to try and be grateful for it. I'm not perfect at it, but it doesn't cover what it costs to raise 4 kids.
None.
I still work 2-3 jobs that pull me away from my kids to provide. And that's another thing that, like, I didn't even think about. I was just, because he was unemployed when we got divorced, he's like, oh, I barely make anything. So the judge was like, well, pay $5. And he's like, maybe.
I'll think about it.
Here's one. So I want to be grateful for it because I have something. I have something, and I'm learning to be having gratitude for that. But yeah, the stresses of finances are still there, and I would gladly give up that child support to not have him in my kids' lives.
Yeah.
And so I ask God for that, so I have to prepare for the $0 to come because I'm asking for it. But all of the finances, I think where you and I were at with our marriages, I don't know if it wasn't on the top of my head. It was safety. We've got to get out. And it was secondary. And I think a lot of that came from the faith that just like God's got it covered because we can't be here anymore.
Well, and I think that's how I knew for sure that I was done. I would rather be living in a cardboard box on the side of the road with my kids with the clothes on our backs
Yeah.
than have to stay in this house one
That's
more
a
day.
really big tell.
Yep.
Golly. Okay.
Yep. And God was good. So as I was growing and building my business, right, it took a year to build. He would provide in all kinds of ways. So somebody would randomly bring a meal, or somebody would show up with a gift card and be like, God just put this on my heart and I have no idea why. And so there were so many ways he provided. And if you sit down and you look at certain years, I cannot show you on paper. It does not make sense how we've survived and how we've gotten this far. It doesn't, because God
Yeah.
and miracles, and he's still providing everything. And when I partner with him, we are not lacking.
Which is incredible. I think that's such a faith building thing, but I need to talk about it more because I often get in a victim mentality when it comes to finances. Because, like I said earlier, I get frustrated that we are 4.5 years in and I am still having these ebbs and flows with money in a way that is super stressful.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of it.
So it's hard, and I still get frustrated, and we're still, so kind of fast forwarding to where we are now. It's hard. Finances are tight all the time. My kids can't do any extracurriculars right now in this season, and that's hard. Now we get creative, right? So they have lots of people lots of friends in the neighborhood, and they're able to play and play soccer games and play tennis, and so they have plenty of stuff.
They're not
going
without,
on.
but
We just can't. We can't afford extracurriculars right now, right?
well, it's not only the finances, but for me, I'm like, I don't have that in me on my schedule, like to add more things to my calendar sounds like a lot of stress for me right now. So financial,
But
emotional,
I've
physical.
got high schoolers who need extra credit
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
right? And so we're having to get really creative with that so that they meet the graduation requirements. And it's difficult. Things are tight all the time. I still have to track every penny, and that's hard. And God and I talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Pretty sure we've talked about it every day this week.
Fun.
I'm like, surprise, guess what we're talking about today?
Guess what? Something new.
So this week I've been talking to him a lot about finances and providing, because as the kids get older, they're getting more expensive. Yeah. Madison needs a car. I need to add her to my car insurance, which is going to be an extra $200 a month just for her alone.
Oh my gosh.
Just for her alone.
Maybe shop for different car insurance.
No, it's because
can we add her to Grammy and Granddad's car insurance without them knowing? Just saying.
And I think they're going to make me insure her on all the cars, not just hers.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, but there's more coming up, and so I'm talking to God, and I'm like, I still have frustration and anger that this is where we are, that I'm not getting any child support, that he's getting to live with zero responsibility. At the same time, I'm working my butt off, but these kids are getting older and more expensive, and there are different needs, coming up. So I need breakthrough. I need you to provide. And so I trust you more than my thoughts or feelings, and I'm showing up and I'm partnering with you, but I need you to step up and break through. Something has to change.
Yeah.
And
How did that go?
Well, we've talked about it a lot.
He's like, cool, Julia, we're still going to do it my way.
Yes. But I thought, something really cool that happened yesterday. I had a plan of how I wanted the day to go. That's not how it went. Shocker.
Surprise. Weird.
And I ended up, doing yard work most of the day and just stuff that had to be done, and didn't get to a lot of things on my business list with marketing and advertising and just certain things that I wanted to do. And at the end of the day, I got a text from a neighbor just saying, hey, I shared your summer camp flyer with a bunch of ladies, and they're going to share it with a bunch of people from their school.
Oh, that's awesome.
So how cool is it? I talked to God about it in the morning.
Yeah.
We partnered together, and I didn't touch my business list yesterday, but he did.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you've got this, because it's stressful.
Yes.
It's stressful to raise kids and be the sole provider. That's insane. Of 6 kids, and you live in a nice place. Like you have a nice house. You provide a wonderful, safe environment for your kids. And that's a lot of stress. That's amazing that you're able to, I love the perspective that you're able to take on that, and to be able to view it, and instead of going, okay, where are you at? You're like, no, you showed up.
Yeah. And that's taken a lot of work, right? Because there are plenty of times and plenty of days where that is not my perspective, where I am definitely in victim mode and dark, but the difference is I don't camp out there anymore.
Yeah.
I can have a day.
Yeah.
I can have a hard week. But then it's time to get out of the dirty river. It's time to put my big girl panties on, to partner with God, to trust his plans, because he has been faithful every step of the way
Right.
and hasn't left us, abandoned us. We've had everything that we've needed, and get to work.
Yeah, I love that. So with my dog breeding, there was the first 2 litters after the divorce were born 10 days apart. So I had 21 puppies. Now I had a wait list. I did not have 21 people on that wait list. Super, super stressful. And so I had several puppies. I want to say 8+ puppies, twice as long as I'm supposed to have them. Discounting severely because I just need them out of my life. So I have my 4, I think I had 4 or 5 adult dogs at my house.
Okay, how did you not mix them up and lose track of who was who?
Grammy. So we have the puppies all have colored collars.
Okay.
And we made little covers for them.
Okay.
So there was one litter that was solid colors and the other ones had like stripes and polka dots.
Okay.
But then back then, my other jobs weren't as time consuming as they were now. Life was a lot slower. The divorce was fresh. It was a lot slower. I don't know why it was so different than it is now, but it feels slower. So I spent a ton of time with the puppies. And I just got to know them, and I'm like, that's who you are. That's like the kids named one of them Camo. Like, your name's Camo. But
I love it.
that tested my faith in the finances severely, because I have screaming matches with him. Screaming matches, and I screamed at him, and he just loved me and said, it's okay. I was like, But I would be mad. I'm like, you told me to do this. This is what you asked me to do. And I'm sitting here having to pay for food, having to stressfully take care of 8 puppies past their time where they're supposed to be with their families, right? So they were like 16 weeks old by the time the last one left.
That's like double the amount of time.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it was so unbelievably stressful. And I just remember, and the cleaning up of the poop at that point, and I was like, oh, for the love, I don't want to do this anymore. I just remember how hard it was. But every morning when I would clean out their pen, I would listen to scripture or a talk from somebody. I would spend that whole time in a spiritual space. I didn't turn music on. I put my headphones on and I would clean with that. And I had the faith, but it was hard, and I was mad and I was angry and I was stressed beyond belief. But obviously the puppies all sold. And so I feel like, again, the time frame that I had when I was married, where he was like, you need to trust because you need to raise these kids. You can't not abandon them, but you can't leave them to go get a job, got me ready to just exercise and have that muscle memory of, we're just going to do the work that he asks. And I am trying to not be frustrated, but I'm there again. Yeah. And not half of it, it's my own doing. I didn't advertise. I have a litter now and I only have half of them sold, and they're all supposed to be starting to go home tonight. And that's on me. And I just, it's so hard. It's so hard to juggle all the things and to do all the things, but I still have faith. There's a reason the people that need these puppies aren't ready for them yet. Whatever the reason may be, I don't know, and I don't feel like I need to know. But I am walking that currently, of having to remind myself, have faith, do the work, find the inspiration that he wants, like take inspired action, take the pictures you need to take, post the things you need to post, take puppies places you need to take them to sell them, because having extra puppies is super stressful and I need the money, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I don't like is something that I loved has now become a chore. And so I'm having to shift my heart with that too, because it's still what I'm supposed to do. I check in. Am I still supposed to have these other jobs?
Right.
Is this where I'm supposed to be putting my time into making my money? And every time he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, so why does it suck so bad? Can you explain this to me? And it's like, oh, puppies, how fun. I'm like, how about you come take care of them? How about you wake up to poop every morning? Anyway, I'm complaining because it really is like, it's funny how you're like, I've been talking to him this week, and I got home from the doctor this afternoon before we started recording. And I walk in and my house just smelled like puppy shit.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I hate it here. And I'm in that dark space, and I'm loving that we're having this conversation, because I'm being reminded, have faith, partner with him, trust him, do the work he asks you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this combination of, I know it's going to be okay. This is a common thing for me right now. I know everything's going to be okay because I know that I'm a hard worker. I know that he's got me. It's like what that's going to look like to get there that I don't love.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be painful. It's going to be stressful. It's like, I know in the end we're going to be okay. In the end, these puppies are going to find homes. In the end, it's going to financially we'll be okay. We've got a wonderful support system. Like, I spend wisely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the walking part that's like, oh, this is going to not feel good. Not going to be a great path.
Yes.
But faith.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, he's always shown up. I've yet to be homeless.
Same.
I've yet to I haven't had to skip a meal. I haven't had to, my kids are still in the same house that most of them were born in. Like, we don't have to, we're not even that close. Like, we're not even close
Right.
to the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like Job, really could happen at any moment. He could be like, listen, I know you really love it here, but we're taking everything. So I keep remembering about Job. I'm just like, it's not Job. I don't need that example. I'm good.
Yeah,
We don't need to test that far. I'll be okay.
yeah.
I'm fine with what we got. But anyway, I appreciate this conversation, this topic, because I got to remember faith.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be okay.
Yep. And I was reminded too, spending time with him. I feel like I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders by myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I'm taking things out of his hands.
Yeah.
And I am not the sole provider, physically maybe,
Yeah.
here, but he's my partner. He's the one that brought me 35 students. He's the one that has made my business successful
Yeah.
while I have partnered with him, while I have been faithful to do the work that he's called me to do. But everything we have comes from him.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that verse, I think it's in Matthew somewhere, where it says, the birds don't worry about what they're going to eat the next day.
Right.
So why are you worrying about it? And if God, feeds the birds, how much more does he love us? He's
Right.
going to take care of us.
Yeah. I love that example, and just remembering we are important to him.
Mm-hmm.
We are important to him. And I love that we both pay for that. Like, I pray, I'm like, send the people that need these puppies.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be reminded tonight and tomorrow and the next day when people pick up their puppies why I do this.
Yes.
Seeing the look on these people's faces. One of the puppy owners has been waiting for this puppy for 2.5 years.
Oh my goodness.
And she's finally getting her puppy. And it's like, okay, this is why we do this. This is good. I can be patient for the right families to come find these, because I rarely have. I mean, I've had one client that wasn't unkind in almost 6 years, in almost 100 puppies, one. And I said, you don't have to buy a puppy from me. And
So
he
you
said,
did
okay.
almost have your 101 puppies.
Oh
It
my
was just in a
gosh.
different
Just not all
form
at
than
once.
you thought.
Oh my gosh, manifesting.
That's funny.
5-year-old Gina manifested this. No, I'm so grateful to God. I guess we're doing gratitude now.
Okay.
I'm just grateful to God, and I'm grateful that he put those experiences in my life prior, so that even though I'm stressed and it's hard now, it's not crippling.
Right.
It's not testing my faith and are you going to provide? It's how? What do I need to do? Where am I? Like, I know that I need to show up, and I just need to follow his guidance. So I'm just grateful that I'm not having to build from scratch in the midst of becoming a single mom. I got to do that beforehand, and now I just am exercising these faith muscles.
I am grateful for not having to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. That I do get to partner with God, and that he is the ultimate provider, and everything that we have comes from him. I'm also really grateful that he is teaching me that I don't have to work every second of every day. And that I do get to have moments of enjoying and living life and going on hikes, and that it's still going to be okay. He's still going to provide.
You get to have fun and food on the table. You get to do both.
I get to have both.
That's amazing.
I know.
Jared reminded me today, he's just like, Christ is a father to the fatherless and a husband to the husbandless. And I was like, okay, right. Because I said the same thing. I was like, I have everything on my plate. And I'm the only one carrying it. He's like, that's not true. He's like, anyway. I was just like,
Yeah.
I know that, but I forget it.
I know. I forget it. I forget it too. And I forget that I have to continue to surrender things to him, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes
Yeah.
on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I'm like, I'm holding it again. Like, and I have to put it back at his feet.
I'm glad that you're vulnerable enough to share that, because there's so many times where I'm going, I already gave this to you. And to know that other people are like, 5 minutes ago I gave this to you. Why am I holding it again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Not just me. Perfect. Great.
Not.
Okay. Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.